And the story begins with, back in 2022, at the beginning of the 21st century, the first white mist exclusion zone of the blue planet appeared out of nowhere, and the white mist enveloped life for hundreds of miles. Of the millions of people in the white mist, fewer than 1,000 made it out alive. And the white mist region is now known as the no-life zone or restricted area. However, with the emergence of the white mist restricted area, the creatures in that area began to awaken their powers. People who have awakened their powers are called psychics, while animals have awakened and became monsters, coming to the present, at February 22, in 2222 year, at Longwood District 22, outside the white mist restricted area, there are some houses surrounded by mountains. There we see a red-haired girl who is deeply exhaling the air from her mouth, and she asked her brother, "How long has it been?" As he is not getting it right again, there is a boy who think, "It's been almost an hour and his legs are now weak. We get to know." He is our main protagonist and brother of red-haired girl. He was trembling due to he was carrying his sister on his shoulder, to watch over a wall by seeing him. She asked him to endure him for little longer. Her brother replied her, as his waist hurts a lot and he can't bear it anymore. By hearing this, she started shouting towards him by saying he was a trash, as a boy should never say no, as she told him to exercise his lower body more often, and he get frustrated by this and says his sister, it will be for the last time, and asked to take a good look this time. He get to remember about his past events, where during those 7 years he had tried countless methods, using explosives, digging holes in the ground, setting up ladders, so on, but was all in vain. Not only that, due to occasional episodes of intermittent blindness have gradually became more frequent. Coming to present, he sees his sister and grandpa were talking to each other, he think. He can't wait any longer as he had to do something. Later that night, he enters into his sister room, where he see his sister sleeping. Wakes up her and asks her, "Is she asleep?" She get frightened by seeing who it was at that time. He says it was him, and asked her to be silent. He says his sister to take Grandpa Mew out of here. By hearing this, she replies him, as this is 800th time he was saying this to her. She says him, as she gonna find a way to break that invisible wall and take him out with her. Then she remembers about a promise she made. It was the day 7 years ago. White mist was spreading rapidly, swallowing up most of the town, and she was a kid at that time, running to save her life, and got stumbled upon the ground. People who are running to save their life from that white mist ran over her body, which made her hurt a lot, and she cried a lot, as if she gonna die at that movement due to the pain. But at that movement he give his hand and asked her to grab his hand and said her to let get out of here, and it was at that time she promised that she will stay with him until she find the way to break the invisible wall. Coming to the present, he says her, he can wait. But Grandpa Mew's body can't bear it any longer, only by finding a human colony. Can they cure Grandpa, as this is something she and he both know in their hearts, and he says her to not to get trapped by him as she must move on? The only person this forbidden zone want to trap is him. By hearing his words, she jumped towards him and hugged tightly towards her melons and shouted, as she don't want to leave him here alone, she want to protect him. Due to tight hug towards her melons, he asked her to release from her grip as he can't take his breath. Little lossing from her grip, he replies her as he already on his own, so instead of wasting time, she should go out and have her life and says her. It would be better if Sister Schwanger became a powerful psychic and come back to protect him. We get to know her name was Schwanger. She stayed silent for movement, and after some time she was agreed to go by leaving her room. He says her, since she promised, he will make preparations so that she can leave early. She grabbed him by collar and asked him not to leave, as she want to hold him for a while and want to hug him. She feels his warm body towards her, and next day morning, he packed their luggage into the car. He waved his hand towards the moving car, and his face expression say us. He was emotionally sad due to their departure. Grandpa Moo, sitting in the car, asked Schwanger, "Why they are carrying so many things?" She replied with trembling voice, "As there are some tools inside this bags. he asked her. "Is she hiding anything from him?" By seeing she'd been silent, he realized what was going there and shouted to stop the vehicle, as they can't leave him alone. She increased the speed of the vehicle and drove faster. He was sad about this and think, White Mist Restricted Area is a place of death that appeared out of nowhere 200 years ago and continues to grow at a rate of 1 per year. There is no pattern, no method of removing it, and its origin is a mystery, as few studies have proved that within the white mist, humans are bounded by rules, and those violate these rules are trespasser and will be punished with a Haresh death. Unfortunately, the rules are nearly impossible to know. With only a minimal amount of information summarized in a flawed called rule book, this was been created over 200 years at great cost to their ancestor. Even so, those who dare to enter this place must abandon all hopes and prepare for certain death, he says. It's 7 years ago, he had came out of it alive, and now he wanted to try again, to find a way out of this restricted area or to stay here forever. After a while, he started walking towards the snowy street. After traveling few miles, he sees a bright light coming in front of him. It grabbed everything towards it. He also goes into it, and we see a place where buildings are covered by those pink trees. He, by seeing this, think as it turned out to be an ecosystem inside the white mist restricted area, and it was amazing. He see a small human-made pound having some fresh water. He sat near it, as white mist restricted area has become a paradise for him. He think to tell Schwanger and Grandpa Moo about this wonderful place. When he get a chance, he took those water and used for cooking. He sees his sister had packed some extra food for him, so that he can cook and eat in his way. And food got ready to eat. He, by seeing that food, his mouth started watering by its smell. He took a spoonful that food and ate it. He suddenly dropped his spoon, and his eyes immediately went blank. He sees it has intermittent blindness, he think, as it should only take a few seconds. After few seconds, when he opens his eyes, he felt something ominous this time, as he don't seem to be blind. He can see everything. He sees his hand, where there is some sentences written on his hand. By seeing this, he questioned himself, what's happening to him? Then he got to know it was restricted area rules, for those who violate the rules. By seeing this rules on his hand, his head stated to hurt a lot, and the sentences written on his hand slowly started disappearing. He immediately noted down every point of the rules into his notebook, which he was carrying in his bag. He think by seeing the rules, he washed his hands before drinking the broth, as he will be dead by now. The dangerous thing about this white mist restricted area was that you may die at any time because of violating the rules. He'd jump up in a joy by holding his book in his hand, as he could see all the restricted area rules and wouldn't for he to be immune to all the other rules. He tried to activate his superpower again, but he got failed in it. He think his ability is not controllable, he come to think. The cause of the yesterday's blindness seems to be the oxtail meat, as he remember about the research on monsters which he read in the past. Mentioned that eating monster meat can promote the growth of supernatural powers, so he think to eat lot more meat of those monsters so that he can see all the restricted area rules. Scene shifted to different location, where it is located towards 30 kilometers west of the restricted area, the night watch camp. We see a person holding his phone in one of his hand and sees the message he got in his phone. The message shows an energy fluctuation of the crystals has been detected in the white mist restricted area of 22 and needed to investigate the cause of it immediately. By seeing this, he got frustrated and broken the plaster of his facial hand and shouted to his team to be gather. We see his name was Li Yin, who was the captain of the night watch. A muscular guy showed up entering into the room in a hurry, and also there was another person present in that room carrying his bag. The muscular guy reports Li Yin. He was ready. We get to know his name was Yang Hu, and he is Night Watch Specialized Close Combat Team, and person carrying his bag report Zhao Leng is ready. He was Night Watch Sniper. A girl raising her hand reports Zhou Xiaomeng is ready, and she was a Night Watchman Special Support Team. She shouted towards Captain Li, as he was injured and hasn't healed yet. Why he took off the plaster again, he got to remember. He in carelessness while seeing that message. In frustration, he broken the plaster of his feature hand. And he don't even remember, and it. A while later, they all sat together. Captain Lee says them, as he just received a message of energy fluctuation of psychic crystal in restricted area, and their team must need to set out to recover them immediately. Yang Hu asks him, as they had risked their lives to come out of that white mist restricted area, and now we've to go back again. Xiao Meng, in response to this, asked Captain Lee, as he was the one who got hurt in the white mist restricted area, and he had not recovered from those injuries till now. He, hitting the table present in front of him, shouted at her, as crystals are more important than the dangers of the white mist, as there should not forget there are night watchers. By his words, his team agreed to go. 30 minutes later, they had arrived to the restricted area. Captain Lee throwed the crystal towards Yang Hu, and asked him to take this crystal out first, as they can't go on like this. Yang Hu agreed to this, and started running away from that monster which is chasing them for that crystal. Li Yin sees. That monster overtook him. In one long jump, he shouted at Leng to not let that monster catch up with Yang Hu. Leng, by taking his sniper from his bag, shoots the bullet towards the monster. That bullet hits the monster head, and it got collapsed to the building beside it. That monster immediately regained its consciousness, its eyes emanating red light as if it went into a berserk mood, and it chased after them. Captain Levi see this. He flew into the sky. By using his power, he created a number of spears around him and pointed all towards the monster and launched a powerful attack towards it. And the attack was so powerful that monster gathered it all energy into its mouth and launched a powerful attack towards that spears coming towards it. By seeing this, Captain Lee get shocked, and his hand got burned by the powerful attack of that monster, Xiao Meng. By seeing this, immediately ran towards Li Yin and asked him to bit her hand. As Captain Lee bites her hand, his muscles started growing from the area of the burn part. By seeing monster coming to attack them, he pushed Xiao Meng aside and activated golden barrier to stop its attack reaching him, and shouted at Leng to shoot that monster, and the bullet, by passing Li Yin, stroked the monster head, and that monster collapsed to ground and dead. By see the monster died, Li Yin, by seeing this, think, the physical fluctuations will attract the attention of the monsters, and the monsters in the Forbidden Zone are so vicious that it seems very unsuitable for humans to survive. Xiao Meng, staying at the back of Li Yin, worries, as she hoped brother Yang Hu was not targeted by any of those powerful monsters, so that he can bring that crystal out of that restricted area. They started moving in a direction. There Li Yin sees a smell and stop there they see from rooftop of a building and found a man cooking food in restricted area. They get shocked by seeing such a weird person eating hot pot in this area with dangers monsters present here. So we will see what happened in the next part, and did Night Watch team meet. Our protagonist or not,